Goblin launch detected.
This video is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. with free weekly content and free shipping on orders over $150. You can save 5% site-wide by using the promo code MTGMuddstah. If you're looking for a direct way to help the channel, please consider joining my Patreon and becoming a member of the generic Goblin Gang. Hey gang, and welcome back. Today marks the first bonus episode in December. As you may or may not know, I post an additional game every Saturday through the month of December, so that means you get 5 extra games this month. To start us off, I've got Felix, Seb, and Maxim joining me, and I'm playing my old Titania deck, keeping 2 Forests, Command Beacon, Thespian Stage, Green Sun Zenith, Exploration, and a Deep-Root Wayfinder. Felix is rocking Cadric with an Exotic Orchard, Battlefield Forge, Land Tax, Blasphemous Act, Gandalf the White, and Ephemerate. Seb is playing their Sefris deck, keeping 2 Swamps, Marsh Flats, Plaguebearer, Merciless Executioner, Command Tower, and a Thorough Investigation. Last but not least, Max has built Jodah Planeswalkers, keeping Command Tower, Forest, Plains, a Johnny Caller of the Pride, Commodore Guff, and a Spark Double. I win the die roll and start us off. I've got an explosive turn playing a snow-covered forest and casting Exploration. I then play another snow-covered forest and tap it for Green Sun Zenith where X is 0. This lets me grab a Dryad Arbor and I pass to Seb. Seb's got a swamp and passes. Maxim just plays a Command Tower. Felix draws and plays Exotic Orchard, tapping it for white to cast a land tax. He mentions the trigger will definitely resolve since I'm in the game and passes the turn to me. I play a Thespian Stage for turn, and then pay 2 for Deep-Root Wayfinder. I then go to combat and hit Max for 1 with the Dryad Armor for being so dang handsome. Seb plays a Command Tower and just passes their turn. Max has a Plains for turn and passes. Felix's upkeep has him finding basics with the land tax trigger, grabbing some nice looking ones. He then draws for turn and plays out a Plains. He taps 2 white for Flowering of the White Tree and passes to me after that. I draw while Seb litters their side of the table with some imported Japanese gummies. I then play a Ghost Quarter and swing the Wayfinder at Felix, and the Dryad goes at Max again. With the Wayfinder connecting, I get the Surveil trigger from the Deep-Root, and I choose to mill the top card and then put it into play because it's a Misty Rainforest, and with nothing else, pass to Seb. Seb draws and plays their own fetch land with a Marsh Flats. They sacrifice it, losing 1 to find a Plains, and then pay 3 for Sefris and pass to Max. Max has a Mountain for turn, and taps a white, a blue, and a red for Pramicon. As it comes in, he picks a direction, naming left. Everyone has to now attack to their left, and he passes to Felix. Felix untaps and skips his land tax trigger, just drawing instead. He then plays a tap Minas Tirith, and he ships the turn to me after that. Turn 4 has me drawing a card, and in my main phase, sacrificing the Misty Rainforest, losing 1 to find a snow-covered forest. I then tap 5 mana for Nissa Vital Force, and then uptick her ability to animate a forest. I want to keep some creatures back though for blocks, so I only swing the 5/5 forest at Seb. Seb plays out a Plains for turn, and pays 4 for a Seravox Tome. This has them taking the initiative and going to find a basic to put to their hand. They pass after finding an island. Max has got a Prairie Stream which comes in untapped, and he taps 4 for a Spark Double. It comes in with a +1/+1 counter and as a copy of the Pramicon. He picks right this time, which as a result means we can't attack since we can't go left and we can't go right, and he passes after that. Felix plays a Mountain and just pays 4 mana for Cadric, not really in a rush since we can't attack anyway. My turn has me drawing and then down-ticking Nissa, getting her emblem. I then pay 6 mana for Woodland Bellower, and as it enters, it goes to find me a creature that's non-legendary, that's 3 or less. My target is the Ramming Up Excavator, and once it's on the field, I then replay my Misty Rainforest from my graveyard. This draws me a card, and I then sacrifice it, losing 1 to find another land, which will draw me a card once I'm done shuffling. Since I can't really attack at this point, I just play out a Sylvan Safekeeper, and then pass to Seb. Seb moves further into the Undercity, scrying 2. They then play a Swamp for turn, and cast Rilsa Rail, Kingpin, which has them getting the initiative again. They get to move 1 room further, and make a treasure token, and pass to Max. Max has a Forest for turn, and pays 5 mana for Jodah. He then ships the turn after that. Felix plays a Command Tower, and taps it for only 1 red to cast Blasphemous Act. Maintaining priority, he puts to stack Boros Charm, and picks the mode to give his stuff indestructible. The board is then wiped, and Felix goes to combat. He swings at Max with Cadric, which I forget to mark down because unfortunately I'm looking up Sefris rulings. Felix then plays a Wayfarer's Bauble, and passes after that. I untap and draw. I play a Snow-Covered Forest, drawing a card as it enters, and then casting Titania. She enters and brings back the Misty Rainforest, drawing me another card. I then play Elemental Bond because obviously I'm not drawing enough, and sacrifice the Misty Rainforest once it resolves. This has me losing 1, making a 5/3 Elemental token, drawing a card as it enters, and then going to find another Snow-Covered Forest. With the Snow-Covered Forest coming in, I get to draw another card after I'm done shuffling, and I'm pretty happy with the amount of cards I've drawn, so I just pass turn. Seb makes a Menacing Skeleton token as they move to the next room of the Undercity, and they then play out an Urborg. They tap enough to recast Sefris, and then play Merciless Executioner. With it entering, we all sacrifice a creature, with Seb moving to the final room of the Undercity. This allows them to reveal their top 10 cards, and they put out a Ravenloft Adventurer, who comes in with 3 +1/+1 counters, and hexproof until Seb's next turn. Seb also gets to take the initiative again, and once more goes to find a basic. They've also completed a dungeon, so Sefris triggers, and this brings back the Merciless Executioner. Everyone once more sacrifices a creature if they can, and Seb then passes after that. Max taps 2 for Farseek, and with that on the stack, basic land cycles Ash Barrens to save some time while searching. He plays the basic he finds as his land for turn with an island, and then puts to field tapped a mountain. Max then still has enough for a Johnny, Caller of the Pride, and upticks the Walker but has no target, and passes after that. Felix resolves his land tax trigger, finding 3 more basics to put to hand, and draws. He plays a mountain, and cracks the Bauble to find another basic, but puts it into play tapped. Felix then plays out Atsushi the Blazing Sky, and passes to me. I play Castle Garenbrig and a Snow-Covered Forest, drawing 2 cards. I then enchant Sefris with a Song of the Dryad, and then tap 7 mana to bring back Titania. With her entering, she returns the Misty Rainforest, drawing me a card. I then crack it, losing 1, and find a Snow-Covered Forest, drawing from it, and the elemental token that Titania makes entering. I don't have haste sadly, so I move to discard and pass to Seb. Seb continues their journey, scrying as they move into the Undercity again. They then activate the second mode of Servok's Tome, revealing until they hit a Fate's Reversal, and return Rilsa to their hand and get to venture. They move to the room that goads and targets Titania. Seb then recasts Rilsa, venturing once more, and the room they enter draws them a card. They pass after that. Max plays a Misty Gate for his land for turn, and recasts Jodah. He upticks a Johnny, putting the +1/+1 counter onto Jodah, and passes to Felix. Felix goes to grab some basics with land tax, and hopes that he'll stop drawing lands. He plays a Reliquary Tower for turn, and then recasts Cadric. He uses Ephemerate to blink Atsushi, and pays the 1 as it re-enters to make a hasty token copy of it with Cadric. Moving to combat, he swings the token at a Johnny, who gets taken out. He then moves through his phases, and sacrifices the token at the end of turn. Sadly, with Seb's Ravenloft Adventurer out, Felix gets nothing since it's exiled instead, and Felix says he'll pass turn. During his end step though, I cast Nature's Claim to blow up the tome on Seb's side, and they gain 4 life. I draw for turn and cast Titania, Nature's Force, who is super good in tandem with the original Titania out. I then move to resolve Scapeshift, which surprisingly happens, and I sacrifice my entire board of lands. I grab 13 new lands, most of which are forests, but more importantly, Yavimaya Cradle of Growth is one of them, so they're extra foresty. This has me getting 12 tokens from the original Titania seeing the lands getting blown up, and 12 tokens from the new Titania seeing the forest come into play. This has me drawing cards from the lands entering, and then twice that amount from the tokens entering thanks to Elemental Bond, for a total of 36 cards. Seb also catches that I need to sacrifice 2 lands for the Lotus Field entering, which makes me 2 more tokens and draws me 2 more cards. I then play 2 Snow-Covered Forests from my graveyard, thanks to Titania Nature's Force, making 2 more tokens and drawing 4 more cards, which is just getting kind of ridiculous. I start looking through my massive hand which I've just drawn, and I'm very thankful that I found Concordant Crossroads, which I'm able to cast for only 1 green. I then cast Zurin Orb, sacrificing 2 lands to gain some life, but more importantly, make 2 more tokens and draw 2 more cards. I then go to combat and swing 12 creatures at Seb, 11 creatures at Felix, and 9 creatures at Max. Even with blocks, this will be enough to take them out, and as they've got no combat tricks, I'm able to win the game through combat. Game review time. This video was 48 minutes and 59 seconds. And to be fair, a lot of it was probably me shuffling and finding lands from my library to the field. Titania did a lot of work, and I got very fortunate despite the fact that I missed some early land drops, ramping so hard on turn 1. I think the Deeproot Wayfinder is a fantastic card for any land-based EDH deck, and it was so great to have both Titanias in play. It allowed so much synergy and I made so many 5/3 elementals from just playing and sacrificing lands, it was awesome. Seb's Sefris deck continues to just be really, really good. They've pivoted heavily towards the Undercity, as it's basically the best dungeon. I don't blame them, there's so much more value from hitting those rooms than the other dungeons combined, and the payoff of completing the dungeon is just insane. Max's Jodah deck was basically his Commodore Guff deck that he changed after not enjoying Jeskai Planeswalkers. I think he was hoping to cascade into some other ones, but as we saw, we really didn't get there. He lost Jodah very early on to that board wipe, and the double Pramicons were probably too aggressive early on. He made himself a big threat for Felix, whose deck entirely wants to attack with token creatures, so he probably should have saved it for later. Speaking of Felix, the Cadric deck was great, although that Ravenloft Adventurer unfortunately shut down his deck a lot. That and the 2 Pramicons really did a number on what he was trying to do, and it felt kind of bad that he wasn't able to really do very much outside of cast as commander and the Atsushi once. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, Cool Stuff Inc., Multizone, Original Magic Art, and Alter Sleeves. But it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.